Welcome, my name's Marie Daniel from My Matters Ltd. I'm here today to introduce Roy. Roy's going to be talking about his experience of what he went through. He suffered with bipolar. He's going to present some poems and he's going to also explain what it was meant for him in that moment. And I'm going to sit back and listen to Roy.
Hi, my name's Roy. I've been suffering with bipolar for about 17 years. Hopefully with the help of God I'll get through it. My poetry helps and I'm going to share some of it with you now. This one's called Deep. I would like the lyrical context of what I speak to be deep. Give you something to think about before you go to sleep. I don't know what lies ahead in this life that I lead. I've had to slow down because I was going at some speed. Running around chasing women, taking class A. For years my body absorbed narcotic substances. Something had to give way. I should have known my mind was delicate. Never took much to get me high. Take 2 lugs of a crack spliff and my brain would be in the sky. Snorted cocaine through a tenner. Took 7 E's in one night. One thing I never did was inhale crack through the pipe. Can't forget the bad trip on acid that gave me one hell of a fright. I'm not advocating the use of drugs. God knows that would not be right. After so much overindulgence, I think I've finally seen a light. You're probably wondering where this is leading, why I'm giving you this history. I'm just wondering why I started taking drugs. The whole thing's a mystery. Now please listen carefully as I switch from verse to verse. There was a period in my life when I thought that I was cursed. Life can be kind of crazy when you sit down and think. Ever harness certain thoughts that could leave you on the brink of a madness, psychosis? Are the thoughts as real as they seem? Or am I having a nightmare, a dream? Ever felt confused? Your mind feeling abused, absorbing unbalanced views, feeling you have to spread the news. But the news I'm spreading don't make sense. My friends, they don't understand. They look at me so helpless as if I'm sinking in quicksand. My thoughts, they are racing, but to me it all makes sense. The consumption of the weed only made my thoughts more dense. Alone with my thoughts, I dwell on the past, remembering a time when life was a blast. Habits I've acquired can be hard to break, even though I know it's my sanity at stake. Thoughts of binging on class A narcotics. The reality is it could leave me psychotic. One thought revolves around when my mind goes astray. I wonder if this madness is really here to stay. With God on my side, I hope it's just a phase, a personal message to make me change my ways. Thank you.
So Roy, can I just ask you, what made you write this poem? Because it's a very powerful poem, deep, it says quite a lot in it. Can you just take me through how you was able to formalise this? Okay,
well, basically, I started doing a lot of drugs at an early age. Never really thought much about it, just was doing it from the ages of about 15, acid and things like that. Went on to ecstasy and then it went on to coke. Tried the crack thing. That thing weren't really for me. Yeah, and after suffering bipolar, I've just come to realise that this thing ain't gonna help me. If anything, it's gonna make me a whole heap worse. So you know what? It's time to just kind of try my hardest to knock it all on the head. Welcome. This is my second poem, yeah? When I wrote this, my mind was elsewhere. I hope you get it. Is there a mental state taking over that doesn't want to be controlled? Am I about to tell you a story that already has been told? Psychotic images of a world that I know well. Is this a trip to heaven or another trip to hell? Is my mind at ease? Is it doing as I please? Or is this the final storm before I'm brought to my knees? Now please don't get too worried. Don't call the doctors yet. I'm going to try and control this episode before the madness sets. The world of psychosis is an unknown world to most. But if you've been there and come back, you can become the perfect host. For a trip to another dimension, to a place where life is strange, where people who surround you try to convince you you're deranged, where thoughts are controlled by a nostrum, and medication as powerful as class A. Your judgment is confused as your mind begins to sway. Your natural senses are increased to a level that's kind of hard to explain. Society has a word for it. They call it insane. Thank you.
Roy, what a powerful poem that was. I think it is such an amazing, insane. It says quite a lot. It speaks volumes. All I can say is, can you just talk me through how this came about?
Well, Marie, basically, bro, when I wrote it, society would have said that I was insane because I was in a mental, I was sectioned, you know what I'm saying? Section means when you're taken off road and you're put into a hospital that is classed as a madman and you can't come out, bruv. Yeah, they give you a 28-day thing or 30-day thing or 6-month thing and you cannot come out. But I never was in there for 6 months, only 28 days. And as I said, when I was in there, my mind was blown up with the moon and the stars, far, far away. And that's where I was when I wrote this poem, like far, far away. That's it, bro. This is my last poem. I'm gonna have a chat with Marie about it afterwards. It's called The Flat. A friend came round to see me one evening and said he feared for my life. He said if I didn't get out of the flat that I was living in, I could be heading for trouble and strife. He said he felt engulfed by what he felt was a bad vibe, but I was kind of thinking he had too many beers inside. He knew nothing about karma, but what he felt was just not good. It took a couple of months for him to be fully understood. There's a message in these verses. I really hope they do get through. And if you realise what I'm saying, it could disturb the hell out of you. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. All was kind of quiet on the Eastern Front. All of a sudden things changed quickly. There was confusion all around. People knew things about the flat, but no one had made a sound. My thoughts were moving rapid, too fast to even jot them down. The way my head was spinning, it felt as if I'd been twirling around and around. Now, this is where it gets confusing, so please bear with me a while. Although I'm telling you a story, I'm trying to do it in a certain style. I was in the middle of a breakdown, or was it a breakthrough? Now let me explain some things that a mate should never do to you. The owner of the flat finally gave me a surprise. While I was on a psychiatric ward, he looked into my eyes and told me he'd seen the devil in the flat with his very own eyes. He said he felt a strange feeling that surrounded him everywhere. But when I moved into his flat, he never told me to beware. Now what kind of shit is that? How could he not give me no warning? He saw Lucifer at night and wanted me to see him in the morning? I just could not take it in. I couldn't fully understand. Was this a coincidence or part of someone's plan? You may think I'm thinking deeply, but you really don't know shit. Because if these events happen to you, you probably end up having a fit. Rent was put before my welfare. Now can somebody tell me, does that seem fair? There's more chapters to this story, and one day we may converse, but I really don't want to send your sanity home with a nurse. Thank you.
So Roy, I would like to thank you. Amazing with regards to your poems.
Thank you very much.
I think, you know, everything that you spoke about really touched quite a lot of what you went through in the moment, and there's quite a lot of things that I took away from your poem.
Okay.
Insanity, insane?
Most definitely.
Okay, and I took a bit of reflecting back about the use of drugs, which...
That definitely did not help the situation. Right. If anything, it could have triggered the situation.
Okay.
And if you're someone who knows anything about the Class A drug world,
yes.
Once you get on it, it can be very hard to get off it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'll tell you now, it's a road to destruction.
And can I just ask you, because one of the poems mentioned about, I think it was your second poem when you mentioned about being in the property, in the house and...
Oh, the flat.
The flat,
Same.
yeah. And again, I felt that that was really quite a lot of what you was going through. So in all the poems that you've wrote, these are the things that you've experienced in life?
All of them, real life stories, no messing about, no, what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing fake, all of them real.
Okay, and you know what, I really want to thank you for sharing your story and being able to come here and talk about the mental health issues and also how it can contribute. You know, when we take drugs, obviously, you know that it has an impact.
Definitely.
And there's a possibility of a correlation of the relationship between mental health and if it can worsen someone.
Most definitely.
Okay, you mentioned being bipolar.
I've been bipolar I was diagnosed in 2001.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When it first come on me, no one knew what was going on. Yeah, I was just very, very energetic and high. But then I started having thoughts, and then the mind just kept racing. It got faster and faster and faster. And I was trying to write things down, but the thoughts were coming so fast, I couldn't even jot them down.
Right.
Yeah? And the maddest thing is now I've got poetry actually remembering about, you know, thoughts moving so fast, couldn't jot them down and all the rest of it. Like, it's in my poetry.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But it's been a mad journey, really crazy journey.
And I guess for me now, where you are now to how you was then, because it sounds to me that you've obviously have come through in a sense of where you are now in a place where you can actually talk about this.
Well, okay. Well, what I'd say about that is, whether the journey's ended or not, I don't know, because we never know what God's got in store. But I believe once I leave skunk weed alone,
right?
Because that's a big no-no.
Okay.
Yeah, skunk weed. Yeah.
And,
Go on.
Just before you talk about the skunk weed, so was this a thing where back in the days that you were smoking a lot of skunk then?
Loads.
And before you found out that you were bipolar, was there anything that you felt that was unusual within yourself?
Well, I wouldn't have said so myself personally, but certain people around my friends, maybe even my mum, might have said I've always been a bit hyper, a bit erratic, a bit fast. You know what I mean? Not taking my time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And bipolar is something, when you got it, bruv, it's just
On the go.
On the go, like you've got energy, yeah, a different kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? And all I'm trying to say to you, sorry to cut you, Marie, but it was a lot of negative energy as well that I was going through. And hopefully this journey, what I'm on now, is more positive.
Right.
And hopefully that will get me through to the next chapter of whatever's going on in my life.
I hope so. One of the things I also want to ask you, Roy, is in the wider community, have you been able to link yourself to anything in the community? I would like to talk to you about medication.
Okay.
And just talk about, you talked about being sectioned as well. So I probably would reflect back to knowing that when you were sectioned, how things were for you.
When I was sectioned, it was a scary time for me, very scary, especially the first couple of times, because I've never experienced nothing like it. But as much as it was scary for me, it was scary for my family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you only think it's about the person that it's happening to. You know what I'm saying? But it has wider, is it connotations? Is the word I'm talking? I think I'm right. It hits everyone. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and being locked up and losing your mind, trust me.
It must be, in a sense for a fan, it must have been really scary.
It was scary, yes.
Someone that, you know, a loving person.
Well, I can remember my sister, who died, God rest her soul, she watched 7 policemen outside my house holding me down. She was freaking out, you know what I mean? Okay. But they were on me, they wouldn't let me go, they were facing the bleeding in the concrete, you know what I mean? I was having an episode, you know what I mean? That's it.
Yes.
And they were and then they had to take me to the amp, get sectioned 7 times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But the last one was 2008.
Okay.
So that was the last section. You know what I'm saying? I've had episodes since then. Don't get me wrong. I've been high, but no section. And as I said, sometimes if you're doing negative things, you can't control the negative high. But if you're doing positive things, I think God allows you to control the positive high. Okay. That's how I see it. Okay. Yeah, and that's what's getting me through my days. Excellent.
And can I just say to you, in a sense of taking medication.
Yeah, go on.
Can we discuss how medication is for you?
Well, I'll go definitely. Well, once upon a time, I would have got to a high and thought to myself, you know what? I don't need this medication. I don't need it.
Right.
And that would be a pathway to the section. Now, I know myself, I need my medication. And I'd say to people out there, if you're hearing your voices, you're feeling high, you're feeling whatever, take your medication, because things will only get worse if you don't. Trust me.
And I guess, and it sounds to me that through the experiences of what you've gone through, you've realised in a sense of how things are for you now. And
took its time. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't an overnight thing. I didn't take because I had my days where I don't need this section. When I smoke skunk, I don't need that. And then, it's not the way. Trust me, it's not the way.
And if we're talking about accessing wider community, are you involved in anything?
Well, basically what I do now at the moment, I've been going to church around the corner. It's a 5-minute walk from my house, you know what I mean? I haven't missed a Sunday for 7 months.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? Might not sound a lot to some people, but
that's
to
great.
me,
That's
it's
great.
just it's a lot. Sometimes I go in the evening as well. You know what I mean? So and what I really would like to do, because around my area, it's E3 both. This is I would love to have like maybe put on something for the kids around there, because I know there's a lot of people who write, and the youngsters, they do a lot of writing, but they haven't got no outlet.
Okay.
Yeah, and and the people who I feel should be doing it, like I ain't gonna say no names, but there's a lot of famous people who have left these bits and they're doing their thing, but I don't see them really doing nothing for the youths.
Yeah.
I think I'd just love to if they could just come to the church and spit their poetry. Yeah, just come in and do it.
And be able
be coming into church, and you'll be getting an audience to hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
These are 8, 9, 10 year olds, 12, 13. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It's all about the kids, man.
Of course.
All about the kids.
And I guess what we're talking about with regards to mental health, because mental health is a wide section.
Massive.
We know that there's quite a lot of implications that can actually cause mental health.
Right.
So, for one, I mean, obviously, it's about awareness as well for younger people, as well as the adults.
Sure.
And one of the awareness, which is what we're talking about in the sense of drugs and alcohol, the influence of other people getting involved in certain things that sometimes can have a contribution.
Okay.
So I guess for me it will be hearing your story, hearing your poems, which I said was amazing, the awareness for the younger lots. What would you say?
Basically, I would say from parents, teachers, whatever, you got to get to the kids at the ages of about 8 or 9. Tell them that this skunk weed is not good for them, because they end up crazy. You have to just get them. It's no good telling them when they're 12 and 13 in secondary school. That's too late. I'm talking about 7ers. You've got to make them aware. You've got to bring more of the mental health issues of the world to let these kids know it's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you talk about just only skunk weed, are we just focusing on, because in one of your poetries you talked about the crack.
Okay.
You talked about taking ease, which is, and I know we're having a conversation about skunk.
Okay.
So it's like a contribution of all different.
Well, you know what? If you want to go there, I'll make you right. Get to the 7, 8 year olds and let them know that all drugs, all the drugs are going to affect your mind some way or another.
Yeah.
You're better off not doing it. Take it from someone who's had experience and lost their mind, through this experience. And it's only due to the grace of God that I was able to get it back. Some of us might not be so lucky.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too real.
No, and I really appreciate, what you're saying, because it is really true. And sometimes, we also have people that overdose on drugs. And
do you understand?
Do just be more
it's all that.
Of getting through to help the young people and also the adults.
Of course.
Okay. And, I just think that it's nice to know that you can come here and present your own work. And I know that the poems that you've done are your own poem. So one of the things I would mention is, for anyone that was interested in getting in contact with Roy, you will need to contact Mind Matters. One of the things before we just finish, we know that we're going to be doing a documentary.
Okay.
Yet to come, we're going to go more in depth around the mental health issues.
Sounds good to me, mate.
You'll be a part of this.
Wow.
So viewers, soon to come, there will be a documentary along with the wider scope of mental health issue. Roy is going to be presenting and being involved in the documentary. So I will